Hey everyone, Jim from SmokeLab here. Welcome to our video on recording a cook with our updates on version 2 of our app. Things look crisper, but generally they're the same. So we'll click Start a New Cook and we'll get going. As before, we enter our meat type, where we got it, and the weight. And remember, clicking this microphone below will allow you to use speech to text for any area in which you have to input text. We found this incredibly helpful in areas such as this where you might have some long notes about what you've done. Other pieces of information can be entered scanning the UPC code by clicking this button shown here by the red arrow. That'll bring up your camera to scan the UPC code of things like your injection, your rub, and your wood and charcoal. Sometimes you will have to putz a little bit with it, move in and out to get that code to be registered, but they should show up. Sometimes that information is something you wish to edit, and that information after you've scanned is editable. Simply click in that field, and then to move the cursor around, at least on the iPhone, if you press and hold the space bar, and then move to the right, that will slide the cursor over to the right. Next, we're going to enter the equipment we use, starting with our smoker and our thermometer. Those have been entered in your profile. Finally, we have one last chance to enter some notes. Often I like to put in a post-trim weight, but you can do anything else here that you want to comment on and remember later. When we're done with that, we click Next, and we get to the cook screen. The cook screen is designed to capture everything you do when that meat is on the smoker, as well as any important activities before or after you give it that kiss of smoke. We created buttons to capture common activities such as mop, spray, wrap, and unwrap. We also created custom buttons to add your own activities and to record the temperature of the meat at any specific time. Knowing that you have a lot going on and may have messy hands, we made it simple to document what activity you did and when you did it, all with just a single click. Finally, you'll see two fields to enter the target temperatures for your meat and your smoker. So entering my usual temps of 203 and 225, let's get cooking. I like to inject my brisket, and I usually do that well in advance, and it may be helpful to determine if a long marinade is important or not. After all, that kind of stuff is why we're using the app, right? So we'll inject our brisket, then click the Add Activity button shown here, and we'll note that when we did, the app will capture the time in the activity table below. As you'll see later in the video, the time can be edited if you forgot to record this activity. If you close SmokeLab, or if you've been using several other apps since you last made an entry, you may find yourself back at the home screen. Don't worry, all of your information has been automatically saved. If you find yourself back at the home screen, click Resume My Cook. You will end up back at the preparation screen, and you will need to scroll to the bottom and click Next to the cook. This will take you back to the cook screen, and you can log your next activity. Now it's time to get some rub on that meat, and we'll use the Add Activity button to log this custom activity. When that rub has been on for a bit, we're ready to put the meat on the smoker, at which time we're going to click the all-important Meat On button. There are a lot of features of SmokeLab that will use this activity, such as calculating your total cook time, and because of that, you cannot edit the time for this activity. So remember to click this button as soon as you can after the meat goes on the smoker. As we proceed with our cook, we'll log a few other activities with just one click, like mopping the brisket. As I mentioned earlier, these times can be edited. For instance, if you realized you forgot to log an activity. Once you've added that activity, to edit the time, simply tap on the time itself, and the scroll wheels will pop up so that you can adjust the time of this activity as you wish. Then just tap Select, and the adjusted time will show up in the activity table. You can also delete an entire activity. For instance, if I accidentally click Spray, I can remove that whole row by clicking on the trash can icon, and that activity will be removed. From there, we proceed with the rest of activities for our cook, most of which are pretty straightforward. But it's worth some special instruction about logging meat temperatures during a cook. You'll see that we recorded a temp of 189 degrees at 10:20 a.m. This is a temp that can be recorded off your probe that's in the meat while cooking, or using an instant read thermometer. But we found that this information is very helpful when looking back at previous cooks. For instance, What time did the stall start, and how long did it last? What was the temp when you wrapped and when you unwrapped? To record a temperature, just tap the temp button. A new activity will be added to the table, and the cursor automatically shows up in that row where you can enter your actual temperature. Type it in and hit enter. And what do you know? We hit 203 degrees, so it's time to get the meat off the smoker. Once you've done that, click the Meat Off button. This button is also important for some calculations later, so don't forget about it. At this point, you may want to record some additional post-cook activities, such as wrapping the brisket and placing it in a warmed cooler, or the time that you sliced the brisket or pulled the pork. For this cook, I did not record any of those activities, but whenever you're done with your last activity, tap the Results button to take you to the results screen. Use the sliders to give your cook's ratings for appearance, taste, and tenderness, as well as an overall rating. Then, add any notes about whatever you'd like, things that went well, things that you weren't so happy with, things to keep in mind for next time. Now, if you take pictures of your food, and if you've downloaded SmokeLab, odds are good that you do like to. Let's get those pictures stored with the rest of the information about this cook. Click the plus sign under Meat Photos, and either take a picture at that moment or choose from photos you've already taken. Select as many photos as you'd like, and then tap Done. Next, if you're using a Bluetooth-enabled thermometer, it is very helpful to add a screenshot of the graph for your records. You'll need to take that screenshot from within the other app and save it to your photos. From there, tap the plus sign underneath Thermometer Screenshot and select the appropriate image from your library. Don't worry that it's cut off in this view, everything will be visible in the final view. Once all of that is complete, tap Finished and Ready to Eat to save this information to your library. Your cook is now recorded, and you will immediately see the view of the information available anytime you want to look back at this cook. You'll see your pictures, specifics about your meat, the rubs, the charcoal, everything you used in getting ready for the cook. Your notes will show, as well as the ratings that you gave it at the end of the cook. Here you can see your full-size thermometer screenshot, and you'll also see your target temperatures, as well as the full activity table documenting what you did and precisely when you did it. We'll also give you the information about the weather during the time of your cook and how long it took you to cook in the total time. Tapping the Share My Cook button allows you to quickly post your photos to Instagram or Facebook, along with the ratings that you gave them. It's a great way to tell your friends about SmokeLab. As you review your entry, you may find a typo or other error that needs to be fixed. To do that, tap the pencil icon in the upper right corner and place the cursor where you need to make the edit. Remember, press and hold the spacebar on your iPhone to move the cursor easily through long periods of text. When you're done with that, tap the Save button at the bottom of the screen. Thanks for watching this video and for downloading SmokeLab. Please give us a like and subscribe so you can see other tutorials that we make and stay informed of any other important changes. Happy eating!